All right, this is for a 2018 Can-Am. I had 1000 Renegade XMR. You know, we got the assassinated on there. Anyways, I was having problems where my shifting was just ass, and then it would be grinding going in high. It would be grinding and popping out of high. It didn't even be grinding a little bit going into low range. And people were saying that you gotta do your shift linkage, you know. You gotta adjust that. Man, I spent like an hour one day adjusting that. And I mean, it didn't do anything. It still just pissed me off. And then people were talking about the one-way bearing. And my one-way bearing, like, I'll clean it and re-grease it, but it feels great. And I mean, the clutch and everything was all together how it should be. So then I finally found a video talking about the gears in the tranny just taking a shit. And this is what I found. First of all, I read on the forums about this snap ring right here. Look at that. This snap ring wasn't even in the right spot where it should be. And it was just fucking smashed in there. So this is your gears. This goes in towards the, like away from the clutches. And so this sticks out right here. And this is your shift fork that shifts it from high to low. And I believe this is the high gear and this is the low gear. But anyways, so there was the snap ring that fits right in this groove here. And it wasn't even on the groove anymore. It was fucking pressed off of it. That fucked up snap ring I just showed you. And then this is, I don't know what it's called, but it's for shifting, and it goes into the gear. Just like that. And so then when you shift, you know, this disengages it, and then when this spins, and then it catches, and it engages into here. Into, I believe the smaller one's the high, and the bigger one's the low, but I could be wrong. And so, look at that, how it's all worn down. You see that? And then look at in the gear. Look at that. I think this is the high one, because it was grinding the worst. And it was just all fucked up. So anyways, that goes on there. That goes on the outside. These two little needle bearings, they just split. To take them off. Oh. Let's see, look at that. All right. Where are you, little bastard? Right there. So to take them on and off, they just split. And they ride underneath. Oh, I got the camera now. There we go. So they ride right on here. Both of them sit next to each other. And that's what your gears ride on. Inside of here is these needle bearings. And here's the other shift. I don't even know what it's called. And this one is for the low range, I believe. And it's not as bad, but it's still pretty toasted. And then here's the low range gear, I believe, the bigger one. And you can see how it's just all messed up. And then this side, you know, because it goes on like that. This side, look at that, brand new. That's what it's supposed to be, right there. And that goes into this gear, and you could see a little bit of wear right there. But you can see that it's not. Like folding back the metal and everything. And look at that snap ring, that's how it's supposed to be. And wherever that one went that I just had. Oh, that guy right there, look at that thing. That thing is just toasted. It wasn't even on the grooves anymore. And so, yeah. So if you're having shifting issues and it's grinding and popping out, I mean, people talked about the one-way bearing, but you got to take that off just to get in here. So I mean, if it's as bad as what mine was, I mean, there was a point where I couldn't even, last ride I did, I couldn't even use high range. It was so bad. And so I do your shift linkage real quick. If that's not it, then I would dig into your clutch, check your one-way bearing. There's some other videos on that. But I mean, you got to pull the one-way bearing off and everything just to get this apart. But I only worked on it for about an hour or two to get down to this. You know, it's taking my time. And so basically the order this goes, once you tear it down, is you got this one right here. The small side goes on, okay. And then after that, then you put the snap ring on. And the snap ring goes right in that little groove, this guy. And then after that, put your 2 needle bearings on. You know, they just sit next to each other. And then you can put your low range gear on. And then after that gear, then you put your high range gear on, and they're opposite, or not opposite, but they're different on each side. And so these spacers keep them from hitting each other. And then after that, you put this guy on. It goes on this way. Then after that goes on, the last thing that goes on is this little snap ring right here on the end. Oh, no, it doesn't. See, how the fuck does this thing go? So you put this guy on first. And then after that, I think the snap ring goes on, and then the 2 needles. And then you put this gear on, and then you put that gear on, and then you put your snap ring on, and then like where the shift fork goes, it goes on last. Well, obviously don't trust me, I'm just a dumbass on YouTube. Look it up. And then, yep, there's your shift forks. And yeah, we'll go look at the, this is the inside of it. Looks pretty good. Yep. And if you ever wanted to know what that clunking noise was when you're shifting, that. So when you shift, right there, that's what holds it in the gear, kind of. And then when you shift, there's these things, and that's what moves the shift forks side to side. And they just slide on that shaft. And yep. Oh, and then to get your primary clutch off, obviously it comes right off, but Teflon tape on a bolt with some water. I don't know if you can see, but I got Teflon tape on this bolt right here. I think people online were saying it's like a 14 mil. It's a fine thread, 14 mil. But I just used some water, Teflon tape, and then a 14 mil. I got a random bolt from a Honda Civic, but this is the bolt. That's the thread pitch you need. And it fits. And then just some water, and then it'll pop right off. And then obviously the other 2 clutches, they come right off. They just got under spring tension. And then after that, you just take off the plastic backing cover for the clutch cover, you know. And then after that, it's pretty easy. You just got 2 boots that connect, one up there, one on the front. And then after that, you just take the cover off. And then when you put the cover back on, you're just gonna wanna clean up the surface, wipe it down with some MEK, some alcohol, get all the oil residue off. And you just wanna use like a gray Permatex RTV or Honda Bond or something like that to seal up those case halves. And I don't know what the torque spec is. You could look that up online or in the service manual. But yeah, so my one-way bearing, in my opinion, wasn't causing my problem. Neither was the shift linkage. It was the gears. And when I first bought this machine, it was always really hard to shift it, you know. And so I think, and then all of a sudden it just got easy to shift. And then all of a sudden I started having issues. And I think just yanking on that shifter and whatnot, when it was hard, it just fucked up that snap ring. And that's maybe what led to my problem, or it's just a bad design. But either way, we're gonna get some new gears in here and maybe I'll have high range again. All right, guys, I hope this helps somebody out because I know I was pretty frustrated. You know, I got about 800 miles on this 2018 and fucking couldn't even use high range anymore on the damn thing. Kind of pissing me off, but either way. This rack thing's kind of big and stupid, but what's nice, I put plastic on the bottom and it really keeps a lot of mud and dirt from spraying up. And I just made a tab that bolts onto there, and then it bolts on the factory location, and it's pretty solid. So it's kind of like, it's like a grandpa rig, but it works pretty good. So hopefully we'll get her back on the trail soon. Peace.